by Mr. Tim Swinford about teaching. Please come on.
Be careful. He's telling me to be careful. So, I grew up I was first raised in a town called Sherrill, Missouri, which is a suburb of Licking, Missouri. What is not that well known about Sherrill, Missouri, I'm sure you've all heard of it, is that there's a road that goes right through Sherrill, Missouri that goes to Licking, Missouri, called Schaefer Road. Spelled exactly like Keith Schaefer's name. So I brought this to Keith Schaefer's attention when I heard he was from Licking. He said, "That's not named after my family." And it's not named after his family. It's spelled the way he spells his name. It's from Licking, Missouri, but it's not named after his family. He was also from Licking, Missouri, and his Schaefer family grew up on the other side of Licking, closer to Salem, Missouri. Yeah, closer to Salem, Missouri. But so
this is really going somewhere. Right?
Yes, it is. So Keith has been one of the greatest mental health leaders in this state. He led as the state public mental health director for 15 years in 2 different. Is that right?
Actually, 17, but
17 years. And the book says 16.
I am.
Yeah. This is the problem when you split up the times, because you can't edit the months. He's also an author, by the way, in which he has written a few books. In fact, one of those books, A Moment in Time, is only the 2nd book I ever read. So.
Well, you're from Sherrill.
And I'm from Sherrill. No, but in seriousness, the things that Keith did, if you're involved in public mental health in Missouri, in his first era, his first time as the director, he started the psychiatric rehabilitation program, the C-STAR program, and the developmental disability waiver, which transformed how services were delivered in all 3 of those divisions because it brought Medicaid funding to the state of Missouri. He, in his second time as he became the director, what most people that are outside of the realm of departmental health leadership don't see is that he works broadly as a team, and he uses data to make decisions, and he brings team members together to develop the strategies. He came into the department with visioning teams, but he took input from all kinds of different stakeholders, which is not always the way people do their work. He also, as a state government official, most state government officials, my experience has been, when they're supposed to work at the Capitol and help, they don't really like to be called to the Capitol and talk to the legislature, the Senate, the governor's office. He actually went. He was proactive to go to talk to the elected officials to try to resolve problems. In his second time, some of the biggest issues emerged. The Joplin tornado, which this group also supported. But Keith launched the day of the Joplin tornado. He was on the phone all over the state, gathering stakeholders to lead a response in the Joplin tornado. He focused not just on the providers, but launched the Missouri Mental Health Foundation and launched a consumer conference, Real Voices, Real Choices. And probably the most difficult journey to do for any department director would be to get a multi-million-dollar new state hospital built. When we don't want to acquire more debt, we don't want to spend more money. And I think many people in this room have seen the current Fulton State Hospital and know that it's not a place that consumers should have to have services, and it's not a place that attracts employees. But probably that facility is going to be a great place to work and a better place for consumers, and getting that across the finish line was probably his best final accomplishment as Director of Department of Health. Great honor to present to you for a lifetime achievement in promotion of mental health.
Thank you, Dr. Hussain, and anybody else who's guilty of actually nominating you for this award. I have to tell you that it's pretty humbling just to be here and even having a chance to be part of this group. I know you're going to have a gentleman coming up in a minute who's going to be tremendously impressive and who actually raised a son who was pretty good. So that was not a bad deal. Kathy and I, my wife is here, Kathy Schaefer, and Kathy and I've just come into the 21st century. We bought a smart TV about 3 years ago, and we really didn't understand why we did, because it has the same channels as a lot of other TVs. But my daughter, who's 46, last month told us that actually the smart TV means that you can hook it up to your wireless and you can see things. And so we did, and we started watching Downton Abbey, which I assume a couple of people have heard here. And we got through about the 6th season in about the first 5 days, and then got to the point in which Carson said to Mrs. Hughes, "The nature of life is not permanence, it is flux." He was frustrated because things were changing on him a lot, and he wasn't really happy about that. And then shortly thereafter, I think like only a couple episodes later, he actually asked the lady, and he's a pretty aging bachelor, and he asked the lady to marry him, which there's an oxymoron to that, but he did okay. And he did that because Mrs. Hughes was a lady who really helped him balance the flux and made life bearable for him, and that was important. Now, when I left the Department of Mental Health, there were a few ceremonies like this, and I tried to recognize the people who were most influential during my time to make those changes. One of them was a guy named Jay Nixon, whom you may have heard of, who I believe was the best governor for mental health, along with his staff, that we had in the state of Missouri throughout the history. And I should know that because I worked with every governor from 1926 on, so I have a pretty good feel for that process. I thank my mental health commission, and I praised the team that I had, which was spectacular, neither one of which I needed to do because they both knew they were very good and they knew they'd carry on. And so I did all that stuff and was proud of myself, but I didn't thank the person who was probably most important in terms of my success, and that was my Mrs. Hughes. And I left her out because I was too busy thinking about other stuff. But she's here tonight. She's very patient, she's very good. I would go home to her frequently and say, "Boy, the flux today really sucked." Now folks, you got to be careful how you say that, so even that statement alone is tricky. But, and she would always say, "Dear, it's okay, I'll always be here for you." That's because she's 10 years younger than I am, and she knows that she'll always be here for me. But she made a huge difference in my life, and I want to recognize her tonight, because if we achieved some things in the Department of Mental Health, the person who's probably most responsible for that is actually sitting right over there, and you should thank her when you get a chance to do that.